This time, the devil's in the details. Hello, everyone. Bront CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and we are here today to talk about the Sand Devil. So I'm sure you have probably seen some videos on this before. Maybe you haven't, and if you hadn't, then I hope this video helps you. We're going to talk just a little bit about the Godseeker Sand Devil team. Now, I know a lot of people have made content on this before. This is not necessarily something new, but I wanted to put a little bit of my own spin on it because I still have people that don't quite understand what you're supposed to do with the team, how you build the team, and more importantly, some people struggle to get up to level 25 with the team. So I want to do a little bit of a walkthrough on how I would walk an account up, as well as what I would do to build the team, various nukers you could use to do damage, as well as what you kind of want to build Godseeker on. With that, we are going to hop over onto my main account and show you a few things here. But first, if you get a chance to like this video and hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. I love making these videos for you guys, and I appreciate your time that you're coming here to hang out and watch me. And it definitely makes me feel appreciated and let me know that you want me to keep making videos like this when you hit that like and subscribe button. So I really appreciate that. And with that, let's get over to Sand Devil. All right, so we are here on Sand Devil Stage 20, and you might think, wait, Bront, why would you make a guide for Sand Devil 20? Well, I'm not making a guide for Sand Devil 20. I am making a video on not only how to do the Godseeker Stage 25, but how to get yourself from about Stage 20 to Stage 25 with the Godseeker team. As you'll see here, I don't have any food in this team. When I run this team on 25, I have food on the team. So we're going to talk a little bit about why that's a difference and what's the importance of having that food and what kind of nukers you can use. So let's go take a look at Godseeker first. All right, so here's my Godseeker, and I've got some really good stats on her. And honestly, you don't need stats that are this good anymore because they have definitely changed the boss. You want 60,000 HP. You want at least 4,000 defense. If you can get more, that's great. You know, how much HP and how much defense you have is going to vary a little bit. You can actually do it with even less defense or less HP. It does help a little bit. As you can see, her speed, she is 202. And, that's pretty much the important parts is how fast is she, how much HP does she have, how much defense she has. A few other things that we need to deal with. But the 202 speed works great. You can certainly go a little bit faster. I've heard as fast as 206 works. 202 might be a little bit low. I will have to double check and see if I have any area bonuses. In fact, let's go check those right now. I do not believe I do. I do not. And again, you get some extra rounding as well. I don't have any mastery bonuses for speed, so that's not a problem. So actually, there's not a rounding issue at all. This is a straight 202 speed. How fast your nuker can honestly vary widely as well. Generally, I prefer to have a nuker to be somewhat faster, so 220 is good, but you could certainly go as low as 200. You could go as high as 270, 280. In fact, I believe my Ninja is about 275 or 280, and he works just fine in this team if I use Ninja. What else is important, though, about building Godseeker? Well, there's a couple things that are important. First of all, you want to make sure that you've got her fully booked. So this is the slow Godseeker build with food. So you're going to want her fully booked. You definitely need this to be on a 4-turn cooldown. You'd like this to be on a 3-turn cooldown. If it's not the worst thing in the world, but it does work better if you've got the cooldowns right, because then everything syncs up properly and you get the heals when you need the heals. I also like Miracle Heal. Now you can see I've only got a 3-star on here for this slow team. You actually don't necessarily even need this 3-star. You do need at least a 1-star. I would highly recommend having at least a 3-star just because it absolutely helps with the destroyed max HP. If you have only a 1-star, you're going to need a tankier champion. If you've got a 3-star, you can go a little less tanky. If you have a 5-star, you can go even less tanky because then you're getting a 100% chance to restore the max HP. But part of what we are relying on is the heals from this to restore most of her max HP so that she can tank out the boss until he does his big nuke. And then she revives herself, and then you revive whoever is next to her, which is your damage dealer. But masteries are the other things we definitely need to look at. If we go into here, let me get her to my collection. Taking a look at masteries, you see I haven't even purchased all of her masteries. You have to make sure you do not get Cycle of Magic. Cycle of Magic is bad because if this resets, that can throw off the entire sequence, and then she starts reviving people you don't want her to revive. That's bad. So no Cycle of Magic, but we like the extra HP. We like the extra healing that she's going to do. You like the extra healing savior here for extra healing if people are low, even more extra healing. Spirit Haste is the most important part, and this is where walking up helps. Having Spirit Haste means that she gets faster if you put food in the team. So she's getting an additional 24 speed. So her actual speed eventually, when she's doing the revive with just the one of the champion, is actually 226. So 226 to 230 seems to be about the right range for that. So if you don't want to have Spirit Haste, that's fine. But having Spirit Haste gives you the ability to both put food in there and gear her easier. But also, this is how you start walking it up. And I'll look at that a little bit later. But just remember that for each additional food that she throws in, she's going to get 8 additional speed up to that 24. So otherwise, on this side here, we've got Tough Skin. We've got this one here, which is very important. Increase the amount of healing and shield values they receive by 5%. That's important. Godseeker has a passive that does that as well. But that's part of the reason that her healing can be so good in this. Plus, that affects things like the regeneration set and stuff like that as well. Again, Resurgence is great. Delay Death is great because that as the longer the fight goes, she takes less and less damage. Honestly, Cycle Revenge is probably not the safest one to have. I'm not going to redo it again because I've got it. Just in case she gets critical hit a couple times, you get a little extra turn meter. That could throw things off. It's unlikely because not only is she not getting a critical hit a lot of the time, but 15% turn meter, there's enough of a variance that 15% turn meter once and occasionally shouldn't throw it off. Now, if she gets critical hit 4 times during a cycle, that could throw things off just a little bit. Very, very unlikely. And the fact that this has been 100% for me seems that just doesn't seem to happen. That said, I would avoid actually taking that. On the other hand, taking Retribution doesn't hurt. She occasionally gets an extra counterattack. Not the worst thing in the world. And finally, I did this for the extra max HP. If you're really worried about this, you don't even have to take the defense tree. You can go to the offense tree and go with War Master to make her just do a little bit more damage. It helps speed things up a little bit. But honestly, I don't think War Master is really that worth it. I think this works better and just have a better damage dealer. So these are the masteries that I would generally recommend. Again, probably not with Cycle Revenge. If we look here at the gear, we've got 4-piece regeneration, 2-piece immortal. Doesn't necessarily need to be regeneration and immortal. It will really depend on the rest of the stats you're going with as well. With these stats here, I could certainly throw her in a Guardian set or a Bolster set. Guardian could be a little dangerous. She could get floored occasionally when her partner gets nuked as well, but that's not a huge amount of damage it's soaking, so it overall shouldn't be a big deal, especially if you've got the extra stats for Guardian. Bolster is fine as well instead of regeneration. If you really don't have the gear for it, you could certainly try 6-piece immortal set. You're only getting 9% regeneration, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You could also do something like a blood shield ring. It's not going to give you a lot of extra HP, but blood shield does give you a little bit of extra HP every time she attacks. So from that perspective, it actually could give her just enough extra survivability. Pretty simple and pretty straightforward, but talking about walking her up, that's where we're going to get into things here. So we go back to stage 20. At stage 20, the boss's speed is 245. At stage 25, the boss's speed is 270. Now, the speeds I gave you with 3 food are for stage 25. But as we talked about with the Spirit Haste Mastery, she's getting additional 8 speed for every piece of food. This speed, this 202 speed, works fine on stage 20. It might even work fine on stage 19. I'm not 100% sure. If it works on stage 19, that's great. If it doesn't work on stage 19, when you build her, if you're a little bit short of the speed, you can use her through stage 19 to get through stage 19 with a single champion. Then you maybe put her up to that 202 speed. The next floor, you just try like this. If she's not fast enough, you throw in a food champion. The one food champion gives her 8 extra speed. That should be enough to get her back in sync, and boom, then you've got stage 21 done. That should also be enough speed for stage 22, because you're getting 8 speed. Stage 23 might then take a second champion. Stage 24 may still work with those 2 champions or may require the third. And then finally, stage 25 is going to take all 3 food champions. So that is how you can walk up this team. As far as damage dealer is concerned, let's go take a look at a couple of options. So as far as options for damage dealers are concerned, I like to use Newt because I find that Newt just generally works fairly well. And as you can see in this particular team, Newt will actually kind of stay alive a bit longer because as a defense-based champion, he can actually survive some of these hits. That's fine. This team works with him living or with him dying. Very similar to how the stage 20 with Marius worked very well. Now, the reason I use Marius instead of Newt is Marius is void, so I didn't have a problem with magic affinity. That said, the only problem affinity is going to cause with this particular boss is just going to take a little bit longer. So I think Newt is probably one of the best champions for this. You're going to build your Newt anyway for generally good damage, generally pretty fast, high defense anyway. So using him on this particular boss doesn't really affect much of how you might use him anyway. So it fits in very well, makes a perfect sense. And the triple max HP hit does a lot of damage. Don't have a Newt or decide you don't want to use your Newt here for whatever reason? Well, Ninja is certainly an option. Even if he's in the wrong affinity, Ninja will still do a ton of damage. Now, I found the Ninja teams tend to run significantly longer as far as turn time is concerned. And since there's a lot of turn-based competition on this particular boss, I wanted to do it with less turns. So again, I felt Newt was particularly good. And there you go. You see him chunking the max HP off when he's sleeping. The big problem that Newt's going to have is, again, you're going to still need to be able to do damage when he's in a form where you can actually put a debuff on him. Otherwise, he kind of just soaks a lot of the damage up. So other damage dealers you could certainly use. Ninja is great because he puts the burns on and ignites the burns. Anybody who has a 6-star or even a 5-star Brimstone can help do some additional damage as well, because getting that 5 or 6-star Brimstone on him, he doesn't cleanse it when he takes his first turn, because he cleanses all the debuffs up right after he wakes up and he does his big nuke, which you'll see right here. Well, you won't see it because I don't have a lot of debuffs on him again. So that certainly cuts into your damage a little bit, and Brimstone only is going to do damage if you can get him to where he's taking turns with Brimstone on, so you need it to be protected in the first place. So those are certainly options. That's another reason Ninja could be good. If you have a 5 or 6-star Stolen a Ninja, that's great. You could certainly use an Acresia. Acresia's got a bunch of max HP hits. She might actually be a better option than Newt. That's a different option. Marius works particularly well because he's got the max HP hits as well. You can use any burner and burn igniter. So an Artak could certainly work because he'll do the burn and then he would ignite it right afterwards, and that can do a lot of damage. You could simply use a flat damage dealer like a Harima, for example, or any of your nukers will certainly do some damage because they're going to hit particularly hard. Little Miss Annie's could be kind of interesting, particularly because she's going to constantly go back and do an extra attack whenever she revives, and then she'll do a normal attack as well. So you could build a very big single damage Little Miss Annie. Champions that do burn are nice because the burn will tick at least once they take a turn as well. So a lot of people like to use Gorlos Helmaw as an option because he puts that up. He also has a decreased defense, so that can do a little more damage as well. There's all kinds of different options. Honestly, what you're looking for is somebody who can do damage somewhat reliably. Ideally, if they can do it faster, that's great. But even things like poisons or burns will eventually get the boss down. So the team is fairly simple to run. As we go in here to edit the team, I do not have any presets. And that is the one final thing you probably want to consider with your nuker or whoever you're bringing for damage. If you want to have to set presets for this, that's fine. If not, you want a damage dealer who knows what they want to do with their very first hit. Newt always does his max HP hit first whenever he can, makes him a very good option for this. Ninja does his burns first automatically, makes him a very good option for that. Gorlos does his burn most of the time. You know, a Rhodos would be fine. You can use all kinds of damage dealers. Honestly, it doesn't matter as long as it's a decent damage dealer that can do enough damage that this is not going to take 10 minutes to run. Now with Newt, it runs about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. Marius, it was running 2 minutes, maybe like 2.5 minutes, probably on 25, because my Marius is not as built to nuke as other people might be. Wallmaster would be a certainly interesting option, particularly because he does put some debuffs out there as well. So he could be very interesting. Do keep in mind that this is going to be a force boss, so you may want to look for Spirit, Void, or Force champions to do the final damage. And meanwhile, while you're walking up, you can use whatever damage dealer you need to. It's just going to cost you time. Hopefully this has been pretty thorough. This gives you some of the speeds you're looking for, some of the stats you're looking for, the theory behind why this team works and how you're tuning it, as well as how you can walk this up from stage 20 to stage 25. So hopefully you found this valuable. And if you do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome as always. And until the next video, I'm Bront CatHerder.